Chase Berggrun is a trans woman poet, educator, and organizer. The author of Red, published by Birds LLC, and the chapbook Somewhere a Seagull, published by After Hours Editions. Her work has appeared in Poetry Magazine, The Nation, APR, and elsewhere. Tonight, she will be reading new work in process. Please welcome Chase.
Hi, everybody. I thought I'd say hi in a cheery little voice, because nothing I am going to say after it will be cheery whatsoever. Thank you so much, Nick and Poet's House. This poem is called Obliterate. At the outset of war, 28th February 2026. So, new work. God's tears, or bombs falling on Tehran. I spin in place, reading vague details, grinding teeth, reaching a hand into the air to try and collect language and relay a feeling. To say the word pointless is pointless. Nothing phases. I look at faces full of nothing as the great snake of the subway takes me from nowhere to nowhere, refreshing the news on my phone. What can I say about the beauty of the baby pink sky surging with starlings other than I hope we get as good as we give, though we never do. God's tears fill this caldera of a country, a crater lake named Nightmare. Time ends and begins again, and we sit on our hands, watching an armless clock counting ticks. What emerges in the morning will be ordinary, as ever, and gone. Day 389. You write no on the nest of a paper wasp and watch the word begin to buzz. You are useless as the memory of water in a glass. America drives your car into the forest and sets it on fire. On the phone with your friend in Beirut, you artfully ignore the background music of intermittent bombing. She says, I hope we will speak to each other again. You say, I published a poem. I just got a new job. My resume, dollars falling from the sky. You dig through rubble to retrieve your vape. Your city sends light into the clouds, asks you to remember something. An ambulance outside your apartment, an overdose, another. They tell you to flip their double-sided coin. You spit on their voting machine. You piss upward at the sun. You whittle sharp the pointed tip of your wooden shoe. You get back to work. You get back to work. Health issues. I wrote this after having 5 kidney stones, which is 6 too many. Watering the dahlias while I scroll through scenes of American safety, interrupting the relentless slideshow of after mathematics, dust, and blood. I see your face, and I see faces without faces, and I refuse to forget. Memory moves to fill in faceless flesh with face, but memory has never been my comrade. I harrow. My kidneys fill with stone. I collapse and crush the flowers. It is right for the body to collapse, confronted by the reality of exactly what happens to bodies beneath a building collapsed. My sobs solve nothing, but there are solutions. You just don't like them very much. If you could hear my voice right now, you'd lose your hearing. I spent the month toggling between the jail cell, the hospital bed. Finally home, I find the philodendrons all decayed. Try and sing my houseplants out of their decline. And on my phone, again you are doing fine. I saw you say what you said. I can't unsee that. I saw you selling what was sold. Once, I said a prayer for you. I take it back. What I actually hope for is something light can't shine on. This poem is called What Is to Be Done. I forgot that somebody else wrote a little pamphlet under that title, a man by the name of Vladimir Vladimirovich Lenin. It's pretty good. His is better. What is to be done? I cannot tell you how to feel better about all this. Eat a planet? Lie down on slabs of granite. The elms grow legs. The rich repair to their hovels. The swan-white clouds lay eggs. Do you know, I once held my mother's hand in a rainstorm. I once taught a child how to frown. I used to step over corpses with clean legs. The world seemed simple, begowned in ice, so easily melted. Praying at my altar, I practice a politics of focused derangement. Splay arms and legs across the carpet. The bomb. The moon. The moon. Oh, none of this is worth a poem. I make a necklace out of no. Lace my boots backwards. Lick at my soul till it's raw. Oh God, I'm so in love with my own mouth. They will say of me, when I have died, she never once apologized for sneezing. There I am. Look at me. On a stage, spitting into a crystal goblet, my tongue stained blue by ballpoint pen, by silver nitrate. Yes, I confess, For all this, I got dressed. I voted for it, tore at fabric in a fit. I took photos of my own face over and over and over. I'm absolved as long as I name my failures. That's what I was promised. Nature naturally chuckles. The wind itself takes sides. I dissolve in disappointment. I berate my many families for naught. The women I love who keep me alive cannot see past their own lawns. The hooked burrs of their apathy stick to my ankles. We wake to the news. We kiss the gloved fingertips of police. We talk about coffee over coffee. We beat our chests, but balk at real simian rage. I want poems that kill. Instead, I watch you slice an apple. I let you whisper your excuses, and I nod. This last poem is called Photographs of Agony. It's after an essay by John Berger, which I recommend. We walked through the forest, and the leaves had teeth. My friend and I walked through the forest, talking quietly together, marveling at branches, roots, and leaves. Of course, the leaves have teeth. How else to eat the air? There is no fruit in this forest, only the sound of sound, the rumble of our bellies, the image of a fish in the sky. Above the brown and green foreheads of autumn trees, a fish in the sky, or an airplane, or a drone, the image of a memory. In the forest, images and memories slide into your brain like a puddle accumulating before a melting icicle. For example, the image of whole families on fire. Running from fire, their bodies burning, still burning as they run, the image, the memory of an image. A boy in Gaza holding his father's head in his lap. When I write his father's head in his lap, what do you see? Do you see a moment of comfort, or where has his body gone? Do you ask who took it away? I want to write my poems about walking through the forest with my friend who held my hand for a short while. We had stopped to stare at the ocean. We could see the ocean from inside the forest, at the edge of the forest where the cedars were thin, where the forest suddenly ends, where sand rules over soil. And we were surprised to see the Atlantic. When you are in the forest, you don't expect to see the ocean, or at least we didn't that day, and she reached down wordlessly and held my hand. We stared at the waves, and she held my hand for about 90 seconds. It was cold, but we did not shiver. And I said, "Let's walk to the ocean and say hello to the ocean." And she released my hand and shook her head and said, "Let's stay in the forest today." It was a good moment. Not the most exciting of stories, but a good moment that heats my heart when remembered. And as I sit here, I wish I could simply sit inside my quiet little story, but if I close my eyes, I can't see the forest. Even if I am standing in the forest, if I close my eyes, I see gray and blood, concrete, tattered clothing, fire. I suspect for the rest of my life, when I close my eyes, no matter where I am or what I am doing, if I close my eyes, I will see the aftermath of an airstrike on Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah. For the rest of my life, I will see as clearly as the video on the screen of my cell phone, as clearly as my own hand in front of my face, the incineration of Shaban al-Dalu. I will see his hairless skull, flames consuming his hospital bed, his hand in the fire, his helpless arms swaying. Oh God, his raised hand, the intravenous line still connected to his wrist, it too on fire. I want to write my poems about birds in the wind or small kindnesses I have experienced, but I look at my pen in my hand and I look at my hand and I see that boy's hand and I am ruined. My whole life ends and begins with that raised hand. What kinds of hands do we allow to allow this? A teenage Israeli soldier raised from seed in the soil of violence, his finger on a button, his lips around a straw, drinking a soda. I refuse to lament the human condition and be tricked into forgetting that carnage is the easy, inevitable product of the state of my comfort. I refuse to lament the human condition and be tricked into uncoupling the conflagration from the empire that applauds and feeds it. Never will I escape the forest of that image. But if I walk to its edge, where the trees are thinnest, I might see the ocean. I might hold that hand for a minute and a half and stay in the forest today. Death to Israel, free Palestine. Thank you very much.